opportunities for ICT research collaboration with Singapore. This webinar represents the project's final event in Singapore, it will complete at the end of July. The purpose of this seminar is to provide information on collaboration and funding opportunities between the European Union and Singapore. It aims to support European researchers in the field of information and communication technologies with an interest to collaborate with partners in Singapore. For those who aren't aware of EPIC, let me provide you with some project background. The EPIC project is the European Pacific Partnership for ICT Collaboration in Research, Development, and Innovation. And it aims to strengthen the ties between the regions of Australia, New Zealand, and Singapore through academic, industrial, and political partnerships. The program was initiated by the European Commission, receives funding from Horizon 2020, and promotes research and development in various future-oriented areas such as, for example, artificial intelligence, digital single market, spatial intelligence, cybersecurity, privacy. These are all the key topics. And my name is Ashok Kumar Marath. I am Head of Strategic Capability Management in Institute for Infocom Research. Actually, we are one of the EPIC partner organization in Singapore, apart from National University of Singapore. And Institute for Infocom Research is the national R&D center spearheading research in all areas of ICT in Singapore. And we collaborate with leading international organizations from both Europe, US, Japan, and China. And in fact, A-STAR is the nodal agency for funding and leading research organization covering even much broader area, and including microelectronics, chemical engineering, high performance computing. So in a way, along with our sister institutes, we would be covering entire ICT spectrum research in Singapore. Our speakers today are Dr. Susan Renzo-Vasu, the regional representative for the EURAXESS Asian Network, and Audrey Maulana, an international consultant with Sociedad Portuguesa de Inovação. Their full biographies are currently displayed on the screen. For the audience, should you have any questions, there will be a question and answer period for the final 10 minutes of the webinar. You will see a chat box in the bottom right-hand corner into which you can type your questions. Alternatively, you can ask us to activate your microphone and webcams if you would prefer to post your questions live, in which case, please just ask us to do so in the chat box. Then, without further ado, I would like to welcome our first speaker, Dr. Susan Renzo-Vasu. Welcome, Susan.
Thank you so much, Ashok, and good morning in Europe and good afternoon here in Southeast Asia. It's my pleasure to be part of this webinar, and I'd like to give you some information that I think might be of interest to you. Let me start by just explaining a little bit about what EURAXESS is. I am the regional representative of the EURAXESS network here in Southeast Asia, and I think it is actually a fabulous support tool for researchers that are looking to collaborate with partners in Europe and across the world. EURAXESS, for those of you that are not familiar with it, is a European Commission-led initiative. It is supported currently by 40 countries in Europe, and it is basically an initiative that looks at eradicating the barriers to research and mobility. So EURAXESS is primarily a virtual tool, an internet platform where researchers find information about funding opportunities, about collaboration opportunities, career advice for those researchers that want to work with partners in Europe and across the globe. The key aspect to EURAXESS is the database, a joint database on European funding opportunities and research career offers, not only in the academic sector, but also in the private sector and industry. So I'd really like to invite you to make use of this and have a look at the database. EURAXESS is also a growing network of research talent. As I said, it is based in Europe, but EURAXESS has representation in strategic partner countries across the globe. You can see here on the right-hand side where EURAXESS worldwide is present. And of interest to you, I guess, is our presence here in Southeast Asia, in ASEAN. We have 5 partner countries: Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, of course, Thailand and Vietnam. And we have a network of over 14,000 members. This is a multidisciplinary international network, researchers, but also research institutions and industry partners that are part of our network. And our task as EURAXESS is to bring these people together to facilitate scientific collaboration. We are 2 people here in Southeast Asia. We're permanently based in the region. I have 1 colleague in Bangkok, and I myself am based in Singapore. And we are your contact people if you're interested in collaborating, either if you're in Southeast Asia with European partners, or if you are in Europe and you're looking to reach out to research partners here in the region, then we are your interlocutors. So I'd like to invite you to visit our website. You can see it here at the bottom, to get in touch with us so that we can support you. Now, what I'd like to introduce to you today is basically 2 funding opportunities that I think that might be of use for you. These are, These are the Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions. And I'm sure you're familiar with the European Research Framework Program Horizon 2020. Marie Skłodowska-Curie, of course, are part of the excellence pillar in Horizon 2020. Now, why is this interesting? The funding opportunity I'd like to highlight are the individual fellowships. These are highly prestigious postdoctoral fellowship opportunities. These are mobility grants, and you know that means you don't get funded to stay in your current place of work to continue your research, but you move to a different host. The target group here for this fellowship are experienced researchers, meaning researchers that already have their PhD or are close to finishing, or those candidates that have at least 4 years of research experience. It's an interesting opportunity because there is no upper age limit. There's also no experience limit. So as long as the fellowship is beneficial to the candidate, he or she has chances of getting the grant. And of course, you can choose both an academic or a non-academic host, meaning you could conduct your research with, for example, an industry partner. This is of interest, this fellowship, because it goes in both ways. So we have European fellowships for researchers that are in Singapore and they want to go to Europe. Or, of course, the other way around, the global fellowships for researchers based somewhere in Europe that want to come to Singapore. So it is funded in both directions. And you can see here, sorry, this is a bit slow here, going to Europe, the European fellowships funding for between 1 and 2 years, whereas the global fellowships, meaning fellows going to Singapore, they have a mandatory 12-month return phase at the end. But in principle, this is a fabulous opportunity for exchange and to collaborate at the postdoc level. There are 2 eligibility criteria. They apply to both the European and the global fellowship. The first one, as I said already, this is for experienced researchers. You must have a PhD or at least 4 years of research experience. And the second one, this is a mobility fellowship. You have to move. There are some conditions here. I will share the slides later on, or you can have a look at it at your own leisure time. But basically, you cannot have stayed in the country where you want to go to in the previous 3 years prior to the application. Now, why should you consider this? Why is this a good opportunity? Of course, scientific excellence is key to this fellowship, the acquisition of interdisciplinary skills. But I think what is important here is the networking opportunity. It really helps to bring research groups together and to build more sustainable research collaborations on the back of this fellowship. It's a very, very generous fellowship. We've just put the table here so you can see that you can really live off this money very nicely. This call for application is currently open. There's a deadline of 12th of September, and further information as well as the application can be found on the Horizon 2020 participant portal, which has been renamed. I'm aware of that. I just stick to this name because it's a lot easier to digest. On the EURAXESS ASEAN website, you will also find a lot of information on how to apply for this, how to find a host, how to draft a proposal that has good chances at success. We have a whole host of people that can also advise potential applicants on how to fine-tune the application to ensure that they have the highest chances of success. So I'd invite you to, again, look at our EURAXESS ASEAN website. The second EU-funded opportunity are, of course, the European Research Council grants that you may already be familiar with. The European Research Council funds excellent researchers. Again, the same as the Marie Curie fellowships, these grants are open to researchers of any nationality, of any academic discipline, and these are bottom-up funding opportunities, meaning there are no predetermined thematic areas. It's entirely up to the applicant to define the proposal he or she wants to apply with. The ERC is a highly prestigious opportunity. It's very well funded. Lots of opportunities to really do your own research with true financial autonomy. The prestige of the fellowship, of course, usually means that additional grant money can be attracted, and the conditions that the grantee will find at the host institution are really very conducive to conducting perfect research. Again, who can apply? Excellent researchers, any nationality and any age, but you have to do this together with a European host institution. Just to answer the questions here, yes, we have already had confirmation. The Marie Curie program will stay the same in Horizon Europe in the next framework program. Oops, someone keeps playing with the, can you still hear me? Yeah? Okay, it's going to be the same. It's just going to be easier. They're going to rename it as well. So yes, the answer is the opportunities under Marie Curie will remain the same. And again, all disciplines have the same success rate. There is no quota. We get this question very often from the social scientists that are concerned, but all the different panels that you will have to apply under have the same chance of success. Now, let me return quickly to the ERC. These are the opportunities under the European Research Council grants, and you can see, starting from the left, for the junior researchers, the starting grants, to the right, to the more experienced researchers. The grants are for up to 5 years, and of course, the amount of money that you can secure increases as you also progress in your career. In brackets, you can see a number in percent. This is the time that you are committed to spend at your host institution in Europe. And you can see this number decreases as you progress in your career. The Commission is actually, or the ERC is very flexible there. We have advanced grant holders that do hold commitments in 2 institutions, so it is possible to continue your commitments elsewhere. The grant that I'd like to highlight here is the Synergy Grant. The Synergy Grant is a new grant. Again, it's all about tackling frontier science, really out-of-the-box thinking. This is funding for a group of up to 4 PIs. And since 2018, and this is interesting, one of the group members can also be a PI who is based not in Europe, but elsewhere, including, for example, Singapore. And I think especially Singapore PIs would have very good chances at being successful here. Great money, a 6-year funding cycle and up to 10 million. And as I said, very high chances of attracting additional funds. Now, just to give you an idea over the applications here, you can see that the Synergy Grant that I just introduced opens in July with a deadline of September. So now would be a good time to start doing the preparations, and maybe for our more junior listeners today, the starting grant will open in August. Yes, we've had successful ERC grants from Singapore. From Southeast Asia in general, we have about 30 ERC grantees, and I think from Singapore we have 6, just to answer the question that just came in here. Again, lots of opportunities. I'd like to invite you to just always keep an eye on the EURAXESS portal, because this is where we announce all the funding opportunities, not just those under Horizon 2020, but the national funding opportunities from the 40 countries that are part of EURAXESS. And with this, I hand over to Audrey. Thank you very much.
Audrey, are you there?
Yep. Okay.
There you are.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. I'm sorry for the...
No problem. Are you fine to slip through your slides, or do you need my help?
No, sure, I can move. Yeah, no, it's fine.
Okay, great.
Thank you. So thank you, Suzanne, for the presentation of the ICT research in Singapore. Also, thank you for Utema and EPIC project for this great webinar. My name is Audrey. I'm originally from Indonesia, but has been working here in Porto, Portugal, for the last since 2016, working for the Sociedade Portuguesa de Inovação, which translates to Portuguese Innovation of Society. So SPI is here you go. So SPI is a private sector consultancy company that we are focusing ourselves on research and innovations. So we do any kind of research and innovation projects, including ICT, cybersecurity, nanotechnology, climate change, and so on and so forth. In terms of our geographical experiences, we have offices in Portugal. We have 5 offices. We have office in Spain. In USA, we have 2 offices, and in China, we have 2 offices in Beijing and Macau, as well as we have a representative office in Belgium with the European Innovation and Business Network. So yes, but we also have a strong presence in Southeast Asia. I personally managing 2 projects in Southeast Asia. But on top of that, we are also have been doing some activities in internationalization of companies from Europe to Southeast Asia or vice versa. So yeah, because as I mentioned, we have a lot of experience in the region. We can help businesses, we can help SMEs who wants to internationalize to Southeast Asia with services like market assessment, market entry, business matching, and as well as online marketing. In terms of our project experiences in Southeast Asia,
excuse me, sorry. Have we lost the slide?
Yes.
Sorry.
So, in terms of our projects, we currently have two main projects that we have. The first one is Southeast Asia IPR SME Helpdesk. So this is a very interesting project because we provide European SME any kind of support related to international intellectual property rights protection when they are going to internationalize to Southeast Asia. And this is free. This is a free services. We provide supports in terms of inquiry helpline, e-learning and business tools, training and live webinar, as well as training materials. So but what this means is that we understand that the IPR protection is not a very a robust situation in Southeast Asia. There are lots of difficulties when European SME is trying to internationalize to Southeast Asia. So that's why we have this IPR SME Helpdesk. The interesting part is that it's not just for Southeast Asia. We have IPR Helpdesk in Latin America and in China. So we are 3 centers, but we are collaborating together. We are coordinating together. So if you have any, even if you have any interest going to China, you can also inquiry us, and then we can connect you to the right person. Does the IPR Helpdesk help with EC consortium agreements? Yes, of course. So any kind of IPR related questions do you have? It's a very general and very broad terms, broad topics. So if you have any interest of going to Southeast Asia, or you have any questions about IPR protection in Southeast Asia, you can definitely go to the website and go to our send us an email address. Send us an email, and then we can definitely support you with that. And our second project in Southeast Asia, this is also very interesting. It's called EURAXESS. This is a cybersecurity cooperation between Europe and Southeast Asia. In this project, we currently have 3 project partners coming from Thailand, Malaysia, and Vietnam. This is also Horizon 2020 projects, and SPI is actually coordinating the project. Me and my colleague is coordinating the project. And in the last week of October, we're going to Vietnam to have a end user event. So this is a very interesting project as well, especially for if you are looking into ICT collaboration or a cybersecurity collaboration between European Union and Southeast Asia. So that's about SPI, but next we're going to see more about ASEAN market and Singapore market, and why is it interesting for European businesses to go there. So first of all, ASEAN is a very robust market. It consists of 9% of the world's total population. The middle class is very growing right now. The consumer class is growing, expected to be 163 million by 2030. It has a very vibrant labor forces. It's one of the world's youngest and fastest growing labor forces. FDI, foreign direct investment in ASEAN, also has risen for the several consecutive year. But this is on the ASEAN aspect. On the Singapore, more closely to the Singaporean economic aspect, as you know, Singapore has one of the world's highest GDP per capita. The GDP growth has been growing positively in the last few years. The unemployment rate is relatively low in Southeast Asia, and Singapore economy is, services is very part of a Singaporean economy, as well as manufacturing, and the government is extremely pro-business. So what kind of incentives or key market opportunities in Singapore right now? It's first of all, it's oil and gas. Is very has a very robust market opportunities, but as well as in digital economy and ICT. It's ranked as first in World Economic Forum Network Readiness Index, so it's very adaptable to ICT opportunities, as well as the Singaporean government also has this research, innovation, and enterprise allocation or budget that has allocated 16.8 billion into science and technology, where 2% of it goes to services and digital economy. Yes. So why going to Singapore? It has a lot of government incentives. First of all, it has relatively low corporate taxes of 17%. It has research incentive scheme and training grants, and it has a lot of incentives, a lot of business incentives, as well as the ASEAN economic community. This is very interesting main point as well, because once you started your business in Singapore, you basically can go to any other market in across Southeast Asian countries. You can go to Indonesia or Malaysia or Thailand, and we will have your headquarters in Singapore, for example. More focusing on the Singapore-EU trade relations. I'm sure most of you are aware that the EU is Singapore's first biggest trading partner in services and second in goods. Singapore is also the EU's fourth biggest trading partners. EU export to Singapore around 33 billion euro of goods and 22 billion of services. But as well as one of the most interesting part is the Singapore and the European Union also already included on the free trade agreement. It's already signed in October 2018, but the ratification process is still ongoing because it has to agree to each member states. So with the EU-Singapore, the FTA, in the future there will be elimination of custom duties, facilitating regional and global value chain, and also brings new tendering opportunities for EU bidders, because now with the Singapore-EU foreign trade agreement, European companies or European consultancy companies can also bid for Singapore government procurement tenders. I think it's worth around 20 billion euro each year. So it's a very promising sector as well. And that's it for me. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer.
Okay, so thank you, Suzanne and Audrey. Those were very informative presentations. We would like to turn the floor over to the audience in case anybody has any questions that they would like to pose. A reminder, you can either type your question into the box below, or I can activate your microphone and camera if you would prefer. So do we have any questions?
Yes, we do.
We do? Okay.
So the IPR Helpdesk is funded by the ESME, by the Executive Agency for Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises. It started in 2016. Started in 2018 for a period of 2 years, so it's until 2020. But it also has a possibility of renewal. So we are expecting the project to be finished into 2022. 2022.
Great. Thank you. And do we have any other questions? Okay, it looks like no. So just quickly, I will review for the EPIC project social media here. So once again, thank you to our presenters today. We very much appreciate you taking the time to participate in our webinar. For the other participants, if you are interested in the EPIC project, it's running until the end of July, after which we will be working on a legacy program. You are certainly welcome to follow us on Twitter at epic_project.eu. We have a LinkedIn group as well. You can find that under EPIC, Europe's ICT Innovation Partnership with Australia, Singapore, and New Zealand. And we have a YouTube channel where you will find videos that cover our various events, questions and answers with experts, webinars like this as well. You can follow that at Oitema. And of course, you are always welcome to visit our website. You can find that at www.epicproject.eu. If you have any questions at all, please contact us at info@epicproject.eu. So thank you very much to everybody for taking the time today, and I wish you a good day. Okay, take care.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.